Cats don't come with instructions, but they absolutely should, because one tiny mistake turned my house into a legal system I now call cat court. And in case file number 2, the crime wasn't something I did. It was where I wasn't. Law number 1. Never check the pet camera at work. I checked the pet camera at work, and Romeo was sitting there, too still. The footage had no sound, but I knew exactly what he was saying. So today, Romeo is suing me. Not for food, not for toys, for absence. And that taught me the next unwritten rule of being a cat mom. Law number 2. Guilt is not a medical condition, but it should be. Guilt doesn't arrive all at once. It builds, like a case file. First it whispers, cats are independent. Then it upgrades to, he's fine. And then it drops the evidence, and suddenly you're watching your cat star in a documentary called Owner Leaves, a tragedy in one room. Next thing you know, you have 37 tabs open. Do cats get lonely? Signs my cat is depressed. How to legally apologize to a British Shorthair. And every article says the same thing. Some cats thrive alone, others need companionship. And the court would like to note, Romeo was not thriving. Romeo was testifying. So I did what any rational adult would do. I searched for a second cat, like I was ordering emotional support off Amazon. Law number 3. The internet is not a responsible breeder. I told myself I'd research responsibly, compare options, read reviews, be sensible. That lasted 11 minutes. Because somewhere between just looking and this is now my daughter, I saw her, a British Shorthair kitten with pale sea glass green eyes, the kind that looked lined with kajal, like someone had traced her gaze with kohl pencil. The court labels this Exhibit B, emotional compromise. I didn't compare breeders. I didn't read reviews. I didn't even check the distance. I checked it once. 3 hours. Objection overruled. The defendant was already in the car. Law number 4. The cat chooses you, and it's legally binding. When I arrived, it was chaos. And I mean that in the legal sense. Kittens, a dog, 2 small children, and one child holding Juliet in one hand like she was a microwave burrito. The court submits Exhibit C, one-handed kitten handling, a felony in 3 states. And the court would like to enter a second charge. The dog and the kittens were eating from the same bowl. No boundaries, no territory, just anarchy. I had the same black carrier from case file number 1, flap open, and what happened next is why this law exists. Juliet looked at me, looked at the carrier, walked inside, sat down, and started making biscuits. No hesitation, no appeals, no probation. She basically said, "Congratulations, you've been adopted." Okay, quick pause. If you're enjoying Cat Court, I'm EK, and these stories are based on my real cats, Romeo and Juliet. Subscribe so you don't miss the next case, because case file number 3 is gonna be wild. And that's the moment the court would like to note her name wasn't even decided yet, but I already had Romeo at home, so the evidence named itself Romeo and Juliet. A romance, a tragedy, and apparently a shared lease. The court rules. When a kitten walks into your carrier and starts kneading, that is a legally binding contract. No further paperwork required. And then we got in the car. Law number 5. What happens in the carrier stays in the carrier. The drive home was 3 hours, and Juliet didn't cry. I want the court to note that. After Romeo's debut album in case file 1, Juliet was silent. Which sounds peaceful, until you realize silence is never free. At about the 30-minute mark, the case changed. Not visually, not physically. There was no evidence in the carrier, nothing on the blanket, nothing on her fur. But the smell? The smell was constitutional. I don't know what they were feeding those kittens. I don't know what laws of biology were being violated in that tiny stomach. But for 3 hours, this angel-faced, coal-eyed, biscuit-making kitten turned my car into a crime scene, windows down, in summer. And it still wasn't enough. Juliet purring like she paid rent. me questioning every decision that ever brought me to this moment. Verdict on law number 5 sealed. The court will not revisit this evidence. Law number 6. First introductions are a legal minefield. Before we proceed, the court would like to remind everyone, introductions are not a moment, they're a process. Step 1, scent swap. Step 2, supervised visits. Step 3, pretending you're calm while your cat is writing a lawsuit in his head. And yes, I followed the guidelines. I watched the videos. I read the articles. I did everything except the one thing the court recommends: having any control over Romeo. One wrong move, and you don't get a hiss, you get a lawsuit. Standard procedure, separate room. The court submits Exhibit D, the holding cell, also known as the spare bedroom. Juliet settled in immediately, exploring, playing, making biscuits like she pays rent. Romeo knew. He sat outside that door like security who just got an email that said, "Your position has been restructured." Sniffing, pacing. At one point, he pressed his entire face under the gap like, "Let me see the new evidence." And when we finally, carefully opened the door, Romeo saw Juliet, this tiny, fluffy, pale green-eyed kitten, and filed an immediate objection. Not verbally, no, physically. He lunged like he was trying to delete a file. The court intervened. Separation reinstated. Romeo was escorted back to the hallway with no bail and no visitation rights. And that should have been the end. But then came the recliner incident. Case file number 2 is not closed, because what happened next wasn't an introduction. It was a trial. Next time, the recliner incident, the midnight negotiations, and the exact moment Romeo finally accepted the new tenant. The court submits Exhibit E. Same windowsill, same air, no objections filed, no screaming, no lawsuits, just peace. So if you've ever introduced a second cat, leave your testimony in the comments. Did they become best friends? Or did you live in a divided household for 60 business days? And if this is your first time in cat court, case file number 1 is waiting. Court dismissed.